And we're back, ladies and gentlemen. I want to apologize for a little bit of technical difficulties we had before we got on here. But look, we're back on the show. We've got Coach Derek Collinsworth, who I'm very excited to have on again. We're going to be talking about Deontay Wilder versus Fury some more. Whether Deontay Wilder redeemed himself or not. Coach, I was asking you a little bit about, what your gym thought about what happened in the fight. You said, most people in your gym, I'm sure they've soaked up the knowledge you've provided them with. It was a foregone conclusion for them. They thought Deontay Wilder was going to lose. That's exactly, what happened. But you mentioned, some people talk about retirement. And I brought up the topic to you, and I wanted to get your ideas on it. In our sport, kickboxing and then MMA and Muay Thai and these other combat sports, one loss at the top level does not amount to some, buddy being told to retire, people calling for somebody's retirement. Why do you think that happens so much in boxing? Because that doesn't seem to be an old school kind of mentality, right? That's more of a new thing. And how do you feel about that?
Well, is nonsense because uh and you probably heard me say this a million times. If Joe Lewis could lose, anyone can lose.
Right,
So
right.
it's what I was alluding to before we lost the connection was that this new culture of boxing fan, right? Uh it's funny because the sport, I would say, in popularity has grown tremendously. Unlike a lot of people think boxing's dying. That's every 10 years boxing is dying. But I'm telling you as an insider that never has boxers made so much money right now.
Right.
Never has boxing been so available on different channels, different streaming service, the internet, YouTube, like even with Fighters Reps promotion, right?
Right.
I could fucking pay $10, bro, and watch fights out of LA. Not LA.
Much love for that one, Coach. Appreciate you on that one, bro.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
so my thing is the culture has changed in boxing. The sport has exploded. The culture has changed. And what happened was it's kind of like boxing went mainstream, right? Where it was always just a niche market, right? And it still is. I mean, but it may seem bigger to me because I'm involved, but you have a lot of what you said earlier a little while ago, casual fans. Boxing's you had stars in boxing that would become crossovers, right? To casual guys,
Right.
casual fans,
Right.
the De La Hoyas, the Tysons, right?
Right.
But now people, but boxing ain't grown. Well, how the hell does people even know who the fucking promoters are? Who even know who managers are in boxing? When I was a kid, nobody would have knew who Eddie Hearn was
Right.
or who none of these guys are. So with the explosion of boxing came a bunch of neophytes. You follow me?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's a bunch of people that don't know what's going on. So the copycat fighters has always been around. When I was a kid, everybody wanted to be Sugar Ray Leonard, right? Everybody was doing the bolo wind up punch in the gym. Then they wanted to be Mike Tyson, and then but what we got with this generation of fighters and populace is uh, the Mayweather culture, right?
Right.
So they came into the game thinking Floyd Mayweather was special because he was undefeated. Not Floyd Mayweather was special because he's doing shit and accomplishing shit that that is special. Is that he was undefeated because that's the narrative Lil Floyd went with. So now everybody's looking for the next, right? Everybody's looking for the next. Think about Broner. Everybody thought Broner was the next. Every time he fought on HBO, it was the next Floyd.
Yeah.
The next is never carbon copies. I don't care how close they are, or just facsimiles, man. And so Me sitting back, I'm saying, well, this kid's gonna hit the fucking wall, and he hit the wall, right? So and all these things happen. So I think we have a culture, but you got to dig deep down in there, man, to get to the brain, set the heart of boxing. Get around boxing people, around boxing with any length of a game, because our sports have always been inundated with coaches that didn't know what the fuck they was doing, right?
Yeah.
It only costs $20 to get a fucking license the day before the fight.
Right.
So there's no test you pass, no exam, and like I tell people, the world needs opponents. So if you stupid enough to come get in here and let my kid beat you up, so I'm thinking what happened was the popularity of boxing blew up, but based on the wrong outlook, the wrong culture,
Right.
and what we're doing is getting the blowback, right? I don't fault anyone. I don't fault anyone for believing in Deontay Wilder, because 40 fucking times, bro.
Right.
39 times he bailed himself out. So by that time, even real boxing people were believing, well, yeah, but he'll knock the motherfucker out. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
But
In a world,
saying, no, he's gonna run across a real fighter, and that's gonna be the end of the hunt. That's what's gonna happen.
right.
Everybody says they the real, I'm a real boxing guy, whatever. So that's a played out term, but I do liken myself as a growing up in because of my family and my history in boxing. I do consider myself a authentic boxing guy.
Right.
So. And I fall back on that. I fell back on that with my Wilder pick. My Wilder pick was the kid ain't got no fucking character. How is he gonna stand there and fight with the gypsy? He's gonna get blown out as soon as he gets his hit in the mouth.
Right.
And that's why when he didn't do that, I had to say, "Oh, the fucking kid's just stupid. He just believes that nonsense.
Right.
He believes he was cheated, and that goes hand in hand with why he wouldn't dap him off in the end. You can't say, okay, he did believe the conspiracy shit. That's why he fought that hard, and then want him to be a good sport with a guy who he actually thinks manipulated his gloves and shit and kicked his ass.
Right.
Besides the fact that he's sitting there with a ringing in his ear, bzzz, that kid ain't hearing shit right now. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
he's concussed. All he knows is you the enemy. Get the fuck away from me.
Right.
I don't excuse that because it's classless. It's all those things.
Right.
I learned a long time ago, quit holding others to my parameters. You know what I'm saying? What makes me is exclusive to me, right? So if I was expecting Deontay Wilder to act like me, well, who the fuck am I?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But I'm not a fan. I never will be a fan. And shit like that, you'll never get me on your team. But the culture of boxing is such that now authentic boxing people got to deal with this shit. Oh, you lose a fight, it's over. I think it's over for Deontay Wilder because he can't fight.
What?
And now he's made it to the level where he's gonna have to fight fighters now.
Well, I'll say this, Coach. You do a wonderful job masking your brilliance, and I think it's humility. Because you took my question about the deterioration, I guess, in the current state of boxing culture, right? You pointed out the fact, which is correct in my opinion, that it's as popular as it's ever been and then some, and people are making more money than they ever have. You pointed out, the fact that, but the culture has problems. And then you segued into what we wanted to talk about, man, all in one fell swoop. And, I gotta shout you out for that, Coach, man. I mean, you not only, know what you're looking at when you're talking about the fighters and have taught me plenty just in a matter of, the little bit of communication and time we've had together. But, I love the way you communicate your points. across. And I agree with you, Coach. I mean, this whole conversation was supposed to be about redemption, right? Did he redeem himself, and did he not? Or did he not? For me,
Right.
he didn't. And you said on your social media that he did, right? And it kind of drove me crazy, not just that you said it, that he redeemed himself. Yours, because your explanation as to why you think he redeemed himself makes sense to me, and we'll get into that in a second. But what killed me is checking this man's social media and Instagram and seeing all these blue check next to their name, ass kissing, casual celebrity dorks telling him how fantastic of a human being he is and this and that. Listen, I just maybe I'm weird. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm confused. But I was a fan of this guy before the second fight. I was okay with him. I was totally fine with him. I can never be okay with somebody doing what he did based on the evidence that he had to Tyson Fury, to Mark Breland, especially to Mark Breland. I mean, especially to Mark Breland, because I know how sacred that relationship between a fighter and a coach is. To Ricky Hatton, to Andy Lee, Sugar Hill, because a lot of people were implicated without having their names called out in all these conspiracy theories, Coach. If you put an egg weight into this man's glove, then Sugar Hill, Ricky Hatton, who was implicated by name, but Sugar Hill, Andy Lee, the whole Nevada State Athletic Commission, Kenny Bayless, I mean, everybody. And for me, it's so depraved to not be able to take a loss, but instead be willing to throw all of these people and their reputations and potentially their ability to make money and provide for their family. I mean, it's such a butterfly effect for me. So anyway, I've said enough.
I can clear that up.
Go ahead, Coach. You got it.
All right. When I said he redeemed himself, what I meant, and maybe it wasn't clear, right?
Yeah.
What I meant was I thought so little of Deontay Wilder, the man, to the point of, and I don't go off on tangents because I don't know Deontay Wilder. I've never met him.
Right.
I've never met Malik Scott nor Jay Diaz. I'm just I'm a trainer. I'm born into boxing. I consider myself a knowledgeable guy, right?
Yeah.
And everything Deontay Wilder showed me after the second fight was cowardice. Everything.
Right.
Everything was pure cowardice. And for a guy like myself, hey, listen, if coward is defined by making an excuse, blaming somebody, not taking your loss, turning on your people that looked out for you, right?
Yeah.
Well, he checked all those fucking boxes. He checked all of them.
Right.
When I watched that kid choose to fight back, and remember, we on the post-fight thing, I told you he was afraid. All the signs was there. Walking to the ring, standing in the ring. I want you to go back and watch.
As nervous.
He's just fucking corner. He was like a kid on punishment.
As nervous as a dog shitted razor blades, according to you,
yes,
Coach.
Sir. Yes, sir. And the gypsy, I love it. She walked to that center ring and called him a bitch out loud while the ref was talking. And gave him he gave him a psychopath, the scariest stare he can give him. And they showed Deontay Wilder, and this motherfucker was praying to whatever Egyptian fucking shit, the energy, right? Every sign, including the weigh-in and interview, he was afraid. He gave me all the signs of afraid. He was all those things, bro, and he fought. He chose to not back up. not get hit and go down like Malik Scott did against him.
Right, right.
He chose not to do none of those things, bro. And I was so impressed. I was so impressed by his sheer courage under that stress and under those conditions that I was confused as shit. I'm like, you couldn't have told me that boy was gonna fight back, bro. You couldn't have told me that. Now that he did, I just think he's a very, very simple guy, right?
Yeah.
A very simple guy.
Yeah.
And I think his understanding is not, he doesn't have much understanding because, first of all, to believe all the shit he believes in conspiracy, and again, this is my personal belief. Nobody has to believe what I'm saying. They can say I'm coach just don't like him, or I'm a hater, or I'm a racist. I could be all those things, right?
Yeah.
But I really believe Deontay Wilder is a simple Simon motherfucker. And I believe his ego was so inflated from his career that there was no way he could lose. So he couldn't understand losing. Right. But I'm telling you something. If you can't understand losing, then you can't get better.
Right.
So what he did was he went in there and mustered all the courage he did. If you go watch that fight again, G, even in the 11th round, go look at the rally in the 10th round.
Incredible. It was incredible.
So let me ask you this. Is he a coward?
You know what, Coach?
He can't be.
He confused the shit out of me too, man. He confused the shit out of me too, bro.
So when I said, Deontay Wilder, you redeemed yourself, son. I hope you heal up, and I hope you're not permanently damaged. I hope you're not permanently damaged, because you're a boxer. So I don't wish that on nobody.
Right. I agree.
I've only wished that on Antonio Margarito, but anybody else, I didn't never give a shit because he was guilty of the shit he thought Fury was guilty of, right?
Right.
So when he chose to stand his fucking ground, man, with no chance, bro, no chance. Especially after you down the big gypsy and he gets up and he starts kicking your ass. You know, he had, in his mind, he's sitting there going, "Here we go, it's the ring." And he still didn't lay down.
Right.
He still didn't lay down, bro.
Right.
So when I said that about him, what he redeemed himself with to me was I had him paid for a coward, man.
Yeah.
It didn't make sense, man. It didn't make sense. And it still doesn't. He certainly, after that beating, he certainly didn't get the humility kicked out of him because he would have dapped him up and bowed down, right? And said,
right.
"You right, hug me, kiss me on the mouth, you big motherfucker." He didn't. He said, "Fuck you."
Right.
So now you and I, because we wouldn't do that, and don't think he should have did it, right? I'm not gonna take away from the courage he displayed in that fight.
Oh, for sure.
That's all I've been about. You redeemed yourself because I thought so little of the guy.
I see.
That I was certain. Soon as Tyson punched him in the fucking mouth, the fight was over. I was certain of that shit because that's how I was trained. That's what I think. That's my litmus test. And so I said, man, this shit is like 2 and 2 equals 5.
Right.
This shit doesn't make no sense, man.
Right.
It still doesn't make sense. And so my logic tells me, Deontay Wilder believed all that shit. Deontay Wilder was so ego-driven that when he lost, and he probably surfed the YouTube and seen all these goofballs saying all this shit, probably said, "That is what happened. Look at the gloves. That is what happened." Because think about it. Wasn't that desperation? He made all those excuses. How many excuses he made, G?
Right.
It was everything's fault except the guy kicking his ass.
Right.
So it didn't make no common sense to blame all those things. But he couldn't factor that he get the fuck beat out of him. He couldn't, Now, to your point, that may be some type of mental illness,
Yeah.
Not to diagnose him. We're not.
No, we're not. Yeah, we're not. We're not. Yeah.
I don't fucking know. I'm gonna just say he's a simple motherfucker. I got simple homeboys. I love them to death.
Hey.
I don't go to them for fucking advice on relationships.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They say they simple hands in the car when I'm going to head to the bank and check out and shit. So, yeah, man, that's what I meant about it. But had he dapped Fury out and tell Fury, listen, man, it's so funny that he's being worshipped by a certain side of this thing, because across the ring, there's a true life guy over there that has faced mental illness, addiction, all these things, man, and bounced back only by the grace of God, that's my belief, and hard work. He's a poster child for the comeback, right?
And Coach, and not just mental health and addiction. I mean, we're talking about an ethnic group in the traveling community. I mean, that's faced quite a bit of persecution throughout history.
Good luck with explaining that shit. He's white, bro. You can't say that.
No.
If you go to, man, and I'm of Irish heritage, right? But it's not what those gypsies are, right? And because there's Irish gypsies, and I think there's that like a Russian type, right?
Oh,
like some.
Yeah. There's gypsies in a lot of the countries, and your Roma gypsies, and there's different.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to think of, Roma gypsies. Yeah. But bro, the persecution they faced was like 20 years ago. It was still going on. Like, they were still like, if a gypsy would go in the fucking stores in England, certain parts of England, they would call the cops and run them out and shit. So no one has the patent on being oppressed, bro.
Right.
All you gotta do is pick up a fucking book, man. Right. That's all you gotta do.
I agree. Yeah, I agree.
But Tyson Fury being part of a minority group who was oppressed doesn't take away from black folk in America who went through civil rights and all. It doesn't lessen.
Right.
It's fucking things, man. But that takes critical thinking, G.
Right.
You got to think about shit like that. You got to sit there and say, well, hold on. I'm learning my history. Let me learn other history too. Let me see what they're about. So, listen, that's like talking to the fucking wall, bro. Trying to explain that to certain people. I can't even explain to them that a guy is about to get his ass whooped. That got his ass whooped twice in a row.
Right.
They wouldn't believe it, bro. They wouldn't believe it. But that's, anyway, not to go off on a tangent, that's what I was talking about with him redeeming himself to me, in my mind, because, hey, you couldn't have convinced me he was going to put in that kind of gutsy display in that fight. I wouldn't have never believed it, bro.
Right. And his fans, I mean, you mentioned his fans. I mean, you can't convince them of anything. And again, I mean, this goes back to, I think the brilliant way you kind of segued from boxing culture into this, because the reason he has those fans, right, Coach, at least for me, is partially, we have created a culture in boxing where we manufacture champions, right? I mean, you know this as well as I do. They send these young guys to Mexico or the Dominican Republic or wherever it is. They knock out 10, 15 indigenous kids from that area, wherever they're from. They bring them here. They spoon feed them a couple more guys that they're supposed to run through, and then they sell them to a promoter. That's kind of exactly what happened to Deontay Wilder. The casual fans latched on. They latched on once he became 39-0 with 1 million knockouts or whatever he had. And it's to blame. It's to blame for all the crazy radical. I mean, it really these fans became radicalized, right? In my opinion, at least, because I wouldn't.
Well, I think what happened was Deontay verified it, right? He
Right,
verified that
right,
crazy
right.
thinking. He didn't take no personal responsibility in that bullshit. Man, you are actually confirming nonsense to the nonsensical. That's dangerous, man. That's dangerous,
Yeah,
bro.
yeah.
So yeah, he went through the same listen, man. Most fighters that anybody's gonna worth, that's worth somebody investing. Man, that's somebody somebody's feeding that kid, somebody's
Yep,
putting them in an apartment or in their
yep,
house,
yep.
somebody's paying their fucking phone bill, somebody's doing all that shit. So goddamn me, if I'm a mover and shaker on the manager side of the thing, son, I'm putting 2,300 in you a month. You think I'm not gonna say? You think I ain't gonna spend 2,300 to get you 3 wins in Mexico?
Oh yeah,
That's
oh yeah.
it's knockouts of a kid who just set the cerveza down before he put his fucking gloves on.
Right, right,
All right, that's just so capitalism, right?
right.
You build up a brand and sell it. The problem is Deontay Wilder is almost like they convince him too.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. And like you said, because he's simple. He's simple enough to be convinced.
I really believe that, bro. And Deontay Wilder, bless his heart, man. I can't hardly think Deontay Wilder don't do shit in Alabama for his community and shit. I bet he does, bro.
Yeah,
I bet
yeah,
he has people and everything.
yeah.
I bet he has a church that he's funding and everything. You know what I'm saying? I
Right,
bet he's doing all that shit.
right.
But nobody's telling him the truth. Nobody's doing that. Nobody's seeing to it that. Think about this. Who managed Mark Breland? Do you know? When he won the gold medal and turned pro, do you
I
know?
don't. I don't.
All right, you want me to tell you?
Yes, please.
Shelly Finkel.
Ah, okay.
Fucking pro. Why did he get brought to Deontay in the first place? Shelly Finkel. And Shelly Finkel said shit when he threw him under the bus that we know publicly. Because they sure threw him under the bus publicly.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So probably a smart move for Shelly Finkel because he's eating off of Deontay Wilder. You think Shelly Finkel's just making his 25%? This simple motherfucker's probably forking over money every which way here. He don't realize it. Who knows?
There needed to be a sacrificial lamb, right? I guess the egos are so big for these fighters. There needed to be something to blame. This whole glove conspiracy theory was perfect. Mark Breland was a perfect victim for this whole situation. And I saw something similar, Coach. I wanted to say, I saw something similar to a coach that I'm friends with that I really like, in Manny Robles. When Andy Ruiz lost that second fight to Anthony Joshua, they had to axe Manny Robles, and because they needed to blame something. They needed to blame someone, and I don't think it was Manny Robles' fault. But I'll digress on that and let you continue.
I don't know Manny Robles. You do. And the way Manny Robles stood there through the press conference of the second fight, knowing this guy done shit the bed on him whole camp, and he sat there and told the public, "Nah, man, we was the generic. Nah, we was working hard. We gonna do our best." And da. That's a coach. He was taking it on the chin even before you went in there and got your ass worked.
Right.
And that's the guy you threw under the bus. It's the nature of the business, bro. We the guys who always get shit on, bro.
It's fucked up, man.
It's out. Yeah, man, it is. There's no contract that says you got to pay a trainer legally. The promoter gets his he cuts the check. It goes to the manager and the fighter.
Right. I know it. Hey, let's not forget, I'm a promoter, Coach. I know exactly what those things say.
Right. So and you probably tell me, I don't know kickboxing world, but you probably give it to the fighter here.
Yeah.
And then what he does with his fucking money is on him.
Right.
Your hands.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing. We use the same bout agreement and everything that boxing and MMA does. So.
So my thing is this, man. Expecting Shelly Finkel to stand up for Mark Breland, he probably said on personal conversations, they probably say, Mark, I know, Mark, what the fuck you want me to do? I got all these millions invested with this kid, and I'm making millions with this kid, and you made your money, so I'm gonna ride this thing till the fucking wheels fall off, and then the next kid I get, I'll bring it back with him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's how the game goes, bro. But honesty matters, bro. Integrity matters, man. Let me tell you something. When I stopped that fight for the Houston Hitman against Blair Cobb, I don't know if you've seen that fight. It was on the zone.
Yeah.
All right, it was on the zone. We go back to the room, and I said, son, because we wasn't concussing. Now, we got hurt. If I remember correctly, we got hurt early in the second or the end of the first round. He shook back after, around then. He's back to real life. Yeah. Oh, my grandbaby just walked in. Sweet, what you doing? What you doing? Give me some sugar.
Okay. Yes, Mom.
Love you. I'm coming. Oh man, I ain't seen her in a couple of weeks, bro.
Sorry
Anyway,
about that, Coach.
It's all good, brother. So, what happened was Robert's eye closed, right?
Yeah.
And I started seeing he couldn't see from that side, right? And so I elected to stop the fight in the 6th. It was an 8-round fight.
Yeah.
And Robert's a warrior, right? I know the kid. I've been training the kid. He's a man who he rather get knocked out, right? And so I made the conscious decision to not allow this guy to knock my kid out because he can't see it, right?
Right.
So we get back to the room, and he's hot, bro. He's steaming. So he goes to his room and showers. I go to mine. We had 2 different rooms, and then I go knock on the door. He lets me in, and he's still hot, right? He's fucking steaming, bro.
Yeah.
This was a shot. He knocks out Cobb. We wouldn't have to listen to the Woo band no more. He would have that position.
Right.
So I say, son, I know you're mad, and you probably want to hit me right now. And I'm telling you, well, get to punching, and we'll see how that one turns out. Because if the shit happens tomorrow, I'm going to do the same fucking thing.
Yeah.
I love you, son. I love you. I'm not going to give him the opportunity to hurt my kid or ruin my kid because my kid is fighting with one headlight, right? 2 rounds, I see you can't see it. You can't see it. You're getting hit with shit you wasn't getting hit with.
Yeah.
So I made the conscious decision. I'm not going to let you ruin my kid. He's fucking 6-1. You're not going to ruin him.
Yeah.
Next night we fought in Vegas. I had Quentin in Vegas, and he came with me and everything, and over dinner he said, Coach, I thank you, man. I appreciate it. I understand why you did what you did. I wanted to keep fighting, but I understand. I said, that's all I expect, man, because I'm going to always protect you, man. When you don't want my protection, it's a million other guys out there who will fucking let you die.
Right.
That'll let you do. This is not aiming, bro. Man, these kids work so hard, bro. They go through so much, man. And then most of them are working, got families, fighting, and there's been kids I tell them, hey, son, I'm not going to train, get a job, man. It's too much against you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
For me to get involved. But it is what it is, man. I can't I'm not gonna let kids get her. So I can't cash out with guys, man. Call me a sucker or what have it. Now, I guess if I'm Malik Scott and tomorrow Wilder says, Collinsworth, come take this 100,000 for my next fight. I need you to train me. It's a contractor's job, okay. But you're not gonna tell me how to train you. That's gonna be said, so maybe I don't get the job.
Right,
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You're not gonna tell me when you sparring, like Breland said in the end, towards the end, motherfucker would come to the gym and JDs would tell Breland, don't talk to the champ. He's not having a good day.
My goodness, that's crazy.
Dude, I got an 8-0 welterweight right now who was the team captain of Team USA, 2-time national champion, world's silver medalist, right? I wish that motherfucker would come tell me don't talk to him. He's having a bad day. You're fucking man. But again, me and this kid, he can tell me how he feels.
Yeah.
That's the relationship we have. But maybe that's the kind of ego that when that person loses, he can't accept it.
You're right.
I think
you're right there. I think you're right there, and I think that's really coming to the surface as we continue this conversation, man, because I think that's the only thing that could explain it, Coach. But before I continue, I want to shout out everybody in the chat. Thank you guys for joining. Like, subscribe, and share. Hit the bell notification icon already if you haven't. Big shout out to Stagger Lee Goods with the $5 super chat. He says, share the same opinion. I feel it's true in the heavier weight divisions, not so much in the lighter weights because it's not as profitable, maybe. He's, I think he's talking about boxing culture. John Wick is in here. Shout out, John. He says, I think Wilder did really good. Was it just me after the first knockdown? The ref screwed up the count. Even the commentary caught it. Go watch. Let's not go there, John. Let's not go there, John. Go ahead.
I hear this shit a lot. John, let me explain something to you. The rules are that after a knockdown, a guy gets a 10 count. I think a lot of people confuse that with 10 seconds.
Which
right?
it's not. Which it's not.
It's not. It's the referee's count. And every referee, in other words, now there's a timekeeper there that he can pick up if he's looking at him because he started counting when the guy fell, but it's still a 10 count. It's not a 10 seconds. Think about this. Every knockdown these days can be considered a long count because now when they get up at 8, walk this way, walk that way. Fuck, everybody's getting a 20 second. They call themselves being more safe.
Right.
But I think a lot of people who don't understand the rules, they get caught up in that 10-second shit. Like back in the days, I remember my dad telling him about the Dempsey fight, saying the long count, and he was like, yeah, it was a long count because of how he started counting and the confusion. But the thing is, what y'all get confused in is, even back then when Dempsey and
I'm not gonna know that one, Coach.
Okay,
I'm not gonna know that one, brother.
The fighting Marine, Gene Tunney.
There you go.
When Gene Tunney picked up the referee and seen his fingers, that's all that's important.
Yeah.
It don't matter if it was 16 by the time he got to 6. Gene Tunney seen 6, 7, 8, and then he got up. Same thing with Buster Douglas. They talk about the long count. Buster Douglas looked up, seen the count, and abided by the count.
Right.
Then got up.
Right.
Just like Fury did.
Right.
So to say it was a long count, it may be because each ref has his own discretion. It's a 10 count. Some refs never look back at the fucking timekeeper. Some do. But just like some won't never do the walk this way, walk that. No, because they say I only got to give you a 10 count. If you ain't straight, fuck you. So I think a lot of people's not aware of that, and then that's when conspiracies.
And I mean, what human being do you know that can actually make a count that's exactly 10 seconds off the top of their head? I mean, no human being can do that. You know, everybody counts Mississippi's. Even when you're rushing the quarterback playing street football, Coach, everybody counts Mississippi's differently.
But your Mississippi, I say Mississippi. You may say Mississippi.
Right.
But John, it's not that it wasn't long. I'm not even saying it wasn't long, right? I'm just telling you the rules are it's the ref's count. And whenever you see the fighter is cognizant enough to look up and pick up the count, That's all that's important. So did Fury get up before he reached 10? That's what you need to ask yourself.
Right. And coach, I want to add something to that. You got to take your ass to the neutral corner too. Sometimes you got to take your ass to the neutral corner too.
Because he don't have to start counting till you do that. Just from Dempsey and them's time when user could just get up. Soon as the bottom of your feet touch the mat, you usually could hit the guy, right? And they changed that rule for Dempsey and Sonny in a rematch. That's so funny. These two things are together. They changed that rule, and Dempsey didn't go back to the corner. He didn't go to the neutral counter, so he got that long count. That's what it was. He stood over him like, I'm going to knock him out again. So a ref really don't even got to fucking do that. And then, you know, each sanctioning body is different. Each state's different, all those things. But it's a 10 count more so than 10 seconds. But, you know, it's not semantics, it's the rules. So if you fight him, blame the ref, but if Fury looks and catches the count, long as he's up before 10.
Right.
What you complaining about?
100%,
you know what I'm saying?
100%. Before I get into, Coach, why I don't think he redeemed himself, and I'm sure you know what I'm going to say, I want to give a special shout out to our sponsors for FightersRep 11, which goes down November 5th. You can watch it right here by joining the channels, just $9.99 a month. You could cancel anytime, but if you stay on, you're supporting me and building us amazing kickboxing promotion for these amazing fighters we have here in Southern California, Coach. Some of the best strikers in the world. And I want to shout out our sponsors that are helping us. Beast Coast Unlimited. They give us our gloves. They've been doing so for a while. And we really love having them on. Citizen Athlete Project. This is a new self-development, self-help course that's doing great things, inspired by the mind of a guy that's been in martial arts for a long time. He's currently a strength and conditioning coach, so check them out at Citizen Athlete Project. Channel Lumber, they've been showing us a lot of love, so big shout out to Mike and the people over at Channel Lumber, man. They're really helpful as far as the fight game goes. And of course, our brother Majid Ali, who is an absolute wizard when it comes to herbal medicine, acupuncture, and everything else related to holistic medicine. Definitely check these people out. If you get a chance, give them a follow. So, Coach, for me, he didn't redeem himself because the way I saw it, right, was, and your explanation makes 100,000% sense to me. I mean, look, I think what you're saying is if it looks like a duck and it quacks like a duck and it walks like a duck, it should be a duck. But this duck, for whatever reason, has, a shark fin attached to it. What the hell's going on here? And it is very weird like that. I agree. It is very weird like that. And I know what you're saying. I mean, he's giving all these signs of a coward, but then he fights to the death in the ring. So it just doesn't add up. For me, I never thought in the ring, I guess I was able to compartmentalize, and I didn't see it the way you do as a coach, which is very understandable. I didn't compartmentalize, or I did compartmentalize his courage in the ring versus his, inability to take the loss and just being a person of horrible character. Because, you grew up in New Orleans, Coach. You probably grew up in a very tough neighborhood full of riffraff, as did I. I grew up in Miami, Florida. And I knew guys that were fantastic athletes and amazing on the court or the football field or wherever they were, but were absolute pieces of shit in life. You see what I'm saying? So I saw the man as, okay, he's not the kind to give up in the ring. And I saw that in the first Ortiz fight. I said to myself, okay, this guy's got heart for days. He should have been dead in that first Ortiz fight. The fact that he wanted to go out on his shield in the second Fury fight, for me, said a lot, as far as his courage goes in the ring. But for me, I just thought he was such a bad person, right? And it turned me off so much because, I know how much people, I mean, look, you don't go into boxing, right, as a coach to make millions of... not all of them make millions of dollars. A lot of these guys are doing it for the passion. Am I right, Coach?
I would say less than 1%
Right.
make any
Right,
money.
right. And it's the same with even with promoters. I mean, if I didn't love the hell out of this, I wouldn't do it. And so for me, a guy like Mark Breland, taking that kind of damage to his reputation for a guy that he's been looking out for, I'm sure, for a very long time, and not just him, Tyson Fury, because for me, I'm not just a lawyer, I'm a human being as well, but I am a lawyer, and I looked at the evidence that these people were citing. It just wasn't enough for me, coach. A glove flopping around is not enough for me to say there's an egg weight in the glove and somebody put some, I don't know, hunch punch in the guy's water and got him all messed up. And the athletic commission and Kenny Bayless. I didn't see any of this. I couldn't comprehend any of it. It was coming from a place, I think, of ignorance. I think people were using his name to make money on these YouTube channels. They were just
that's
they're
evident.
just opportunists pandering to their audience, whatever it was. So I just found it all around as a disgusting situation. Like you said, he didn't do anything to diffuse it. He actually enabled it. It was, like you said, the illogical, what was it, like the nonsensical preaching to the nonsense. I mean, it was just crazy. I think it put a huge blemish on the sport. It created a lot of friction. And then he comes out, he puts on an incredible fight. I think to myself, this is an opportune time for us as a community in combat sports and boxing to come together. These guys embrace, everybody maybe can come together and get along.
Totally agree.
And he just, what does he do? He just takes a huge dump on that opportunity, for lack of a better phrase. I mean, basically tells Tyson Fury to fuck off when he goes to shake his hand after losing, to me, what looked like fair and square for the third time. To me, so for me, I don't like the guy. I'm never going to like the guy. He didn't redeem himself. I already knew he was courageous in the ring. I still think he's a piece of shit, which is unfortunate because I wanted to like the guy.
G.
Yes, cool.
My boxing hero, my boxing idol was and always will be Thomas Hearns. My watermark as a trainer is Emmanuel Stewart. I believe Mark Breland, and I've told him this myself, I believe Mark Breland is the greatest amateur boxer that ever represented our country.
Wow.
So, regardless Mark Breland has a untarnished reputation in boxing. I mean, it couldn't, if you go pick a fucking guy to slight his character, you pick anybody. You pick me. You don't pick fucking Mark Breland, bro. Right. But here's the thing. So that's a bone to pick right then and there. Right. Crump, and I have no link to Crump, right? This was just, I visioned myself as a kid, tall, skinny. Thomas Hearns was my hero. I wanted to be like him. I wanted to fight like him. I wanted to punch like him. Then I become a trainer. Emmanuel Stewart is who you put up there with him, Eddie Futch, I guess. Right. Emmanuel Stewart and Ray Arcel. I mean, these is like the fucking Mount Rushmore. These is any trainer should study these guys, right? So to throw these guys on the bus by association, you fucking with their lineage, yep. Right? And so, believe you me, brother, I'm no fucking Wilder fan. Yeah. And never will be. So, when I said it redeemed itself, I said, the caveat is the cowardice. Now, him not shaking Fury's hand serves why I came up with what I came. It's the only logical explanation. He fucking thinks, and he still thinks it. He still thinks it. So you shouldn't, maybe you didn't think it, and you did, and clearly, guess what, G? You talk about me because I'm a trainer, but you were right. I was wrong. You said he wasn't a coward in the ring. You never thought he would be. You thought This fight was going to
And
be
that's what
late.
that
I missed
that
the
was
shot.
exact. I mean, I love that you bring that up. That's why I predicted a late stoppage because I think he's a tough guy. I think he's
Yeah,
a warrior.
but so what I'm saying is we can't. I'm trying not to. I'm trying not to judge this guy by my own. It's kind of
I get it,
like
Coach. I get
you
it.
and I are
I get it,
friends,
bro.
right?
I get it.
You and I are friends. You and I are friends. We love. You call it combat sports. We love it, right? We eat shit, sleep, fighting, right? We love everything about it, including this controversy, right? It gives us something to talk about and something to study and something to figure
Right,
out.
right.
But if tomorrow you find out I'm a Republican, and in your mind, Republicans are a piece of shit, guess what, bro? You're wrong. Because we're friends, we buddies, and who I voted for in the last election shouldn't fucking matter to
Right.
you, but it's a testament of my character. How you reach out to me, I reach out to you outside of this fucking live shit, right? That should be what it's about. So I'm not gonna hold Deontay Wilder to my standards. I'm gonna say I'm not a fan. And yeah, ask me if I think he's a piece of shit. That was a piece of shit
Yeah,
move.
yeah.
But what I know was he ain't no coward, and I thought he was. And because I'm a guy of character,
Right,
I'm admitting I was
right,
wrong.
right,
That's
right.
all. I'm not gonna buy the fucking t-shirt. I'll never buy the t-shirt. I just feel like what a strange. And you say yesterday, Saturday night, what a strange dichotomy with this kid. It's fucking weird, man. It doesn't fit. It's a duck with a fucking shark fin. It doesn't fit. It doesn't fit, right? But I have a saying, and I didn't come up with it. Actually, it was something I want to say Albert Einstein
Yeah.
said it about some shit. But so paraphrasing, in my gymnasium, a fish will never be judged by how well it can climb a tree.
Right.
Right? A fish will never be. A monkey won't be judged on how well he can fly. That's not what I do. I take a fish and try to make him the best fucking fish he could be,
Right.
and vice versa. So when I look at Deontay Wilder, no, he's not my cup of tea, nor will he ever be. And believe me, it hurts to not be rooting for the American because I'm just that kind of silly guy.
Right. No, I'm with you, man.
You know what I'm saying? I believe I want to win too. You know, and my heavyweight is my American heavyweight. I feel like a fucking is a coward going into this fight. You see what I'm saying? But so he redeemed himself from the coward I thought he was. And if you think he didn't, that's because you were able to compartmentalize his cowardice is not his ring acumen. It's the outside the ring shit, right? And I guess I said, but the outside of the ring acumen translates to that ring too. And this guy shouldn't be brave enough to stand there and take this beat.
Right.
And he did. And past that, he was trying to win. So that's where I was at right now. So I guess did he I think he redeemed himself from being a coward. Did he redeem himself from being a piece of shit? No. No. Not by the definition of your piece of shit. Because he should have had some ability and dapped the gypsy up. Because guess what? It was basically a replay with a worse fury, and he still beat the shit out of you. So, and this time you wasn't still standing on your feet. He knocked you the fuck out. So, are you ever gonna get him and his fans to believe the truth? Nah, you're not, bro. Yeah. He don't believe it, they won't believe it. You know what I'm saying? And as far as the future goes, I'm not basing that he don't have a future on the fact that I'm not a fan. I'm basing the future on the fact that as soon as he fought an elite heavyweight, look what happened.
Right. Charles Lowe in the chat says, Tommy Hearns is my favorite fighter of all time, and that's with good
That's
reason.
a good man right there. That's a good man right there. That man knows what he's talking about. That's a goddamn boxing genius right there.
I'll say I
Dude.
love Tommy Hearns too. That guy is the man for sure. Yeah, Coach. I mean, I love your insight into all of it. You know, I was able to link, you know, what we feel about boxing culture to the fans. You know,
Yeah.
and you know, I think one thing I skipped over, and as you're speaking, it kind of hit me, is we can also link boxing culture to Deontay Wilder's attitude, right? Because they manufactured this guy, and they made him believe that, you know, he was authentic. They made him believe that he was the real deal. He was even saying it at the press conference. I defended my title more than, you know, whoever, Muhammad Ali or whoever it was. I defended my title 10 times. I mean, you are not even, for me, in the same stratosphere as a guy like Muhammad Ali. But, you know, opinions may differ on that. But look, young guy from Tuscaloosa, Alabama, or whatever it is, where there's not even a boxing gym, comes up for his daughter. It's a touching story, but obviously came from nothing and is in dire straits. Makes it to the Olympics, wins a bronze medal. Is put in this situation where he believes he's invincible because they feed him, you know, 30 or 40 guys that have really no shot against him. All this money comes in. Gorgeous woman. I'm sure with all that money in Alabama, I mean, you can buy 17 mansions, and you know, you've now turned yourself into a god. You've got multiple children. You're flying back to Africa and doing all kinds of things all over the world and living the life. You know, and then this gypsy comes around and beats you up. It's just a hard pill to swallow. I think it was just too hard for him to swallow. You know, as we're having this conversation, I'm thinking maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's a mental illness, but maybe it's just the ego.
He clearly didn't learn a lesson. Let me ask you
Yeah.
something though. So fuck that. Who cares? What's the lesson you learned from this? Because I know what lesson I learned, and I'll say it. What did you learn from this, G? Or if anything?
Me, shit, I feel like I learned multiple things, right? I feel like I learned that, you know, if you lose or you fail at something, you need to do something different. You need to do something different, you know, and that goes with anything. Like me as a promoter, you know, if my show flops, I got to do something different. You know, I can't do the same thing. And, you know, I think it also helps teach accountability if people are willing to accept it. I mean, it's on me. If I fail, it's on me. It's not on everybody else, you know, but that's the biggest lesson I get from it. I'm sure, you know, I feel like there's probably something much more enlightening that you're about to drop on me right here.
No. What you just explained was a part of my boxing curriculum anyway. You know, that's part of the tutelage that when I'm training a kid up, that's part of it, right? So what I learned was I've got to be open. Okay. I can't pigeonhole nobody because I'm sitting here going by my
I see.
previous experience. I can't just had you said the week before and I told you, man, yeah, and you said, nah, coach, Ortiz hadn't hurt, and I'm gonna say, yeah, but it's easy to keep fighting when you done hurt a guy. That's easy. That's easy to do. It's like when does anybody think Victor Ortiz ain't a quitter? Who thinks that?
Yeah.
But guess what? He had a knockdown drag out with Andre Berto in that one fight. You know why? Because he knew he hurt Berto and hurt him. So it's easier for him to get up because he thinks he has a chance. But when you don't think you have a chance and there's no signs of saying you can win, balling your fists up and fighting when you've proven you're a quitter is something different. And I just took his excuse making as a quitter, right? And I was convinced. You wouldn't, and the fact that he got stomped out so bad and maybe he's a different guy and can't take an ass whooping like that again anyway, I allow that to not let me see and not compartmentalize that maybe he's just so fucking simple that he believes all that shit, and he's gonna try his hardest in this next fight. That was a lesson. I think the lesson of you don't let these kids' egos. Somebody needs to be there telling the truth. That's evident for anybody who don't believe in the bullshit because he has no reason. Dude, what? Why would he even think he has a chance in this rematch? You got to outbox for fucking 12 rounds, and then you got stomped out of 7. It's almost silly to think you can do something about it. And he fucking did.
Well, coach, let's not forget. He nearly killed Tyson Fury in that first fight, and the man came back from the dead. So I mean, it's kind of like what you're saying with the Ortiz thing. He did hurt Fury. He had him down and out in that first fight, and only by, I mean, really, I agree with that, but the rematch, right. The rematch went the way the rematch went, but his ego's so inflated, I guess. He just put it on, these goofy glove conspiracies and everything else. I don't know, coach. I don't know. You know what's funny though? You say you learned that lesson, and immediately before you said you learned that lesson, you said, "Well, my job is not to make a fish climb trees. My job is to make a fish, the best fish it could be, the best swimmer it could be."
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, that kind of plays into what you're saying here, because whatever the hell he's doing in the ring has nothing to do with whatever the hell he's doing outside of the ring, right? Like
yeah.
All you care about is making boxers great boxers. If he wants to get out of the ring and, spend his time, I don't know, meditating upside down and on a tree or some shit, I mean, that's up to him. You know what I mean? But your job is to make him a great boxer, and I think that kind of...
Yeah, but if a guy has no character outside the ring, the minute I know about it, I'm not gonna train him either.
I get it. We've got a couple more questions in the chat here, Coach. James Jones, what's going on, brother? Long time, man. Appreciate you being in here. He says, "What's good, G?" He says, "What do you say about the size difference? Who under 250 to 260 pounds could stand with Fury?" James, I thought it was definitely a significant size difference. But it's also a skill difference. Unfortunately, Wilder just doesn't really do a great job understanding how to use his own physical attributes, right? I think his footwork is horrible. He does have an explosive right hand, but that's pretty much it. I don't think he's very coordinated, to be honest with you guys. I mean, I'm sure he's a decent athlete as far as power and speed, but I don't think he's just nowhere near as coordinated as he should be, especially against a guy like Tyson Fury, who at 6'9", 2 inches taller, is just one of the most coordinated, probably the most coordinated human being at 6'9" in the history of human beings, Coach. I mean, I don't know where this guy gets off being that coordinated at 6'9". And I want to answer the latter part of the question. Then I'm going to let you answer it, Coach. Who under 250 to 260 pounds could stand with Fury? At this time, for me, the only guy that I think is a real threat, the next fight to make, is Alexander Usyk. He's a smaller heavyweight, if you want to call him that, but he's still pretty big. And I think he's got the movement to sort of frustrate Fury, but I still think Fury wins.
You said my guy James?
James Jones.
His name is James? James Jones. Just to pique your interest, go do some picture search, Google search or something of some of Joe Louis sparring partners, or go look up Abe Simon or Primo Carnera and look at their size. This is the thing. I think G hit the nail on the head. We're talking. The problem is not. One problem is that Fury is 6'9" and 270 pounds, but the bigger problem is that he can fight. Yeah. So it's an IQ thing. Joe Louis stood 6'2", between 200 and 210, and as of today, he'll walk through a Tyson Fury. 10 years from now, when Fury's all finished and done, maybe he becomes that great. Who knows? But listen, man, Evander Holyfield in his prime, Joe Frazier, man, these guys wasn't barely 6 foot.
Right.
Some of them wasn't 6 foot. Evander was 6'2". But not that I'm saying his size doesn't matter, because it surely matters, but it really matters because he got ability and he's an educated fighter. That's the thing. And the fact that people don't recognize it because he's goofy looking and he's got poor genetics, so even when he's in shape, he's still fat. It's kicks to me. It's just funny to me. Because I see what he is. So I kind of get off on the fact that people don't think he can fight, because in fact, you could take Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder and do a tag team, and Fury beat the shit out of him. So when it comes to boxing intelligence, so I think that's the big thing. I mean, a 200-pound man can knock anyone out. You know, anyone. It's just that's the size that you need. You know, that's why there's heavyweights. That's why they in 200 plus. You know, I see this Bridgerweight thing and all that type of shit. And if guys can make money by another weight division, great, go do it. But I'm gonna tell you something. You'll never be considered a great 200-pound fighter if you're looking for gimmicks. You know, I only want to fight people that's 225. Because like I said, Abe Simon was a real-life silverback gorilla. Go look him up. Go look up the pictures of him and Joe Louis at the face-off. Joe Louis is standing on a scale and still shorter than him. It really is a sweet science. It's overused because people who don't know what it is like to use the term. But no, man, there's actually a right and a wrong way. It's actually a thing that you should fight. You shouldn't fight, right?
Right.
And that's what it is, man. So that's my belief anyway. I mean, if you would like to see another division, that's fine too. But how you going to compare yourself to Joe Louis or Muhammad Ali, or again these guys looking for a weight? It ain't their fault that Tyson Fury is big. Yeah. You know, what about that? What's that Russian kid who had one of the straps?
Valuev.
He was 7 foot.
David Hay
beat him, I think.
David Hay beat him. I mean, yeah, it's you know, if Tyson Fury was just big, I mean, there's a lot of big guys. There's a lot of big guys in the heavyweight division. Yeah. You know,
it wouldn't matter if he was just big,
it's
right?
Just, you know, I'll say this. I mean, I grew up in Miami, Coach. Everybody was an athlete. I myself, I mean, fancied myself an athlete. I ran track. I ran 100, 200. I could dunk a basketball when I was like 15 years old. I thought I was a hell of an athlete, you know, as were all my friends. So I thought, you know, when I looked around, I could tell an athlete from a non-athlete. And, man, 6'9", moving like that, hand speed, foot speed, nimble on his feet, you know, he's got, you know, even Malik Scott said, you know, Wilder has a God-given gift, and so does Fury. And it really is, I mean, maybe it's the lineage thing. Maybe it is the lineage thing. You know, maybe it's growing up doing it. Maybe it's a combination. I mean, you know, he's a fighting man.
Right.
So, yeah, we also got, go ahead, Coach.
Hey, and we can shut it down here in a second, man. I catch my grandbaby in there. But you just said a term that I use consistently, fighting man. And so the name of this episode was, Did He Redeem Himself? So you feel he didn't. I feel he redeemed himself from being a coward. But let me ask you this. Is Deontay Wilder a fighting man?
Absolutely. I would say he's absolutely is.
Hey, you don't gotta care who you voted for in the last election, or even how he wears his fucking hairstyle. Is he a fighting man? All right. That is, bro. I Yeah, I didn't think he had it in him, bro. I was completely wrong. But that's where my credit starts and stops,
Yeah.
right there.
Well, absolutely brilliant time with you, Coach. Guys, follow Coach Collinsworth at Soapboxing Podcast right there on your screen. That's his Instagram channel. He's got a fantastic boxing podcast. He's based in Houston. He's the trainer for Quentin Randall and a bunch of other young upcoming stars. Give him a follow, show some support. Follow us as well on social media and right here. And listen, Fighters Rep 11 coming up November 5th. Get your tickets if you haven't already at FightersRep.com or in the link below. And if you can't make it, please, please, please join the channel. Just $9.99 a month. You'll be able to watch it. It's going to be a fantastic live stream. It's we're aiming for TV quality as always, and I hope you guys join and support. Coach Collinsworth, thank you so much for your time, man. Anything you want to say before I let you go?
To your followers, subscribers, listen, man. Anytime y'all want to talk about, I'm all for it. Talking, I don't know kickboxing or MMA, but anytime we gonna talk boxing, and if I could add to them combat sports, some opinions, I would love to do it. But I don't want your listeners thinking, oh, this guy thinks he knows that. No. I'm always open for a discussion. I love to hear opinions. I love to hear different viewpoints because, like I just admitted, I was wrong about Wilder. G was right. But I just don't waste time explaining water's wet to certain people. Right. But if you got a valid, opinion, man, I love to hear it. I love the discussion. That's how you learn something, man. So I appreciate you having me on again, bro. So if we gonna get a thing started or whatever, let's do it, man. I'm enjoying it.
I want to say one thing before I end this stream. I was always of the view that Tyson Fury was going to beat Wilder, but I was a little iffy about it. I was always a little worried about it. I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure because I didn't understand what I was looking at as much as a guy like you would be. And I watch a lot of fights. It wasn't until you sent me some of that secret sauce in a video, which you don't give out for free, but you give out little tidbits on your podcast, that I said, okay, Fury's got this. Wilder's not going to be able to beat this guy. So that's how much knowledge Coach Collinsworth has, and I look forward to you guys joining us in the future.
Absolutely.